What are the teaching points for Tua after that game? How much do you kind of go over that film and drill stuff in, and how much do you just kind of let him, do his own thing?
Well, anytime you don't have the performance you like, you look at it and assess kind of, all right, what occurred, why, and then how can we improve? So ultimately, game ones are there's an illusion of the unknown, and especially when you got a new staff. All right, so basically, it's for us to just make sure that we're playing the moment, not anticipating things that will happen, and we're working together so we can maximize our opportunities. So I think that whether it's him or all position groups, it's like you assess performances, good or bad, and then basically say, okay, here's what we need to do so we can build upon for the next week.
Xavier Howard said after the game that when Tua's first read is taken away, that he sees Tua panic. Tua agreed that he needed to work through his progressions in a better fashion, particularly on Sunday. Mm-hmm. The panic part, though, what are your thoughts on that?
I don't think that's really true, because when you look at several games from last year where he had to move through his progressions, he was very effective. So I just think that it's easy sometimes post game or whatever to say, okay, this is what it was, so this I'm going to say it and think what it is. I just think when you really assess his performances over time, that's not necessarily true. It might have been true in that moment, but I don't think that's necessarily true overall for him.
Going off of Joe's question, there were a couple of Colts players that said it looked like he was confused or they had him confused. I guess what can you guys do to better help him in that situation? Like as a team, as an offense, what needs to be done better so that Tua's not in that situation?
Well, I think ultimately we need to make sure that we're protecting the football better, so then that way we get more opportunities to be able to attack what we're seeing. So when we put ourselves in situations where we don't get as many plays, right, you have to make every play perfect. I mean, that's why college football plays the way they do. They play fast and get a million plays, so then therefore you can have a looseness to your operation if you're going to get 90 plays going on. The minute you get yourself in under 50 plays in the game, every play gets heightened more, because now it's like you get less opportunities, your margin of error drastically shrinks. So like for us, when you have less opportunities, you got to make them count. So the game moved in a way that we had to make sure that we were better with our details, and that's stuff that we can definitely learn on. We're focusing on this week.
Coach, how does it impact the way you call a game when you lose a starter on the offensive line 3 plays into it?
I think basically you try and work through scenarios in the week that you can make sure that, I think we've talked about in here for the last couple of years, we try and always make sure that we can think of variables that occur and then how will we adjust for things. So I don't think necessarily it's like you change everything dramatically. You just might focus on different areas of the plan where you think that, okay, how can we give help in certain situations, or we can set them up for these blocks and stuff like that. So I think it ultimately goes into our initial planning is making sure we have contingencies for all things, because like that's the one thing you have to understand in the NFL is there's going to be guys in and out, and you just always have to make sure you have planning for it.
How big of a challenge is it specifically to have 2 new starters on the right side of the line, which is the blind side for Tua?
Yeah, I mean, it's challenging whenever you got, whether it's line or say you had 2 new wide receivers in or anything, you got guys that you're trying to make sure you have the chemistry. When it comes to the line, you're just making sure that they get on the same page communication-wise, so we're all moving together, we're playing as one. So I think whether it's the offensive line or any position, when you're rotating guys in, it's always going to be challenging, but it's part of the season, long season, so we got to make sure that we're working through it all.
How would you assess the tight end play? The snaps are split evenly between Julian and Tanner?
Yeah, I think there's areas that were positive, and I think there's some things that we think that we can clean up in some of the passing game stuff. But I mean, the thing that stinks is just that we wish we had some more opportunities to run the football. But with the way the game went, it forces you into trying to balance it a little bit more, and knowing that you have to throw the football to catch up. So I think that's ultimately what we learned from that game is making sure that we don't do things to push the game in a way which forces us to play one-dimensional, and that's having to throw to catch up.
What were some of the positives you took from that game? Pro Football Focus, for what it's worth, had Patrick Paul rated very highly, but what were some of the positives offensively?
Yeah, there was some good individual performance. I mean, We had a couple good runs that, start the game. We start off with a 9-yard run. I mean, there's some stuff in the run game that we saw that were promising. Stuff in the passing game, obviously, that we liked with guys being in timing. I mean, overall, it's like, I think it just comes back down to when you have a performance like that, it's not up to our standards, it's not what we want to be. So it's ultimately, you see the good, you recognize where we can improve, and whether you have guys competing, our effort was there. It's just making sure that we're executing and not feeling like it's, hey, we have to do it right now. We have to do it. We got time. And as we get into the fourth quarter with 10 minutes left, okay, now time is diminishing. So now that's where things change. But I think that's what the big thing the guys have learned this week is working together for 4 quarters.
There were a few plays where Tyreek Hill wasn't either in the right spot or set in the right spot, and he was kind of getting some help from Tua. Is that fair to say that we haven't spoken to Tyreek yet this week, that he was a little off in his alignment and assignment a few times?
Yeah, I think there was just some communication stuff. I mean, it was loud on third down a couple times that, we can improve on. I don't think it's collectively, like you say, when you say it's one guy. I think it starts with making sure that we get the communication to the personnel out to get that in. So working on our away game communication and operation. So ultimately, it's our ability to get the guys on, get in the huddle, communicate it, get lined up. I mean, if that process is correct, it really helps. And I think that's an area that we as a coaching staff can make sure that we're better at.
Have you seen Darren deal with the hip strain setback? I know you're as close with him as anyone here.
I mean, it's been frustrating and challenging, but for him, it's just he wants to be a part, wants to contribute. You can just see the joy he's having in his time here, and it's just staying true to the process and not trying to push yourself too quickly so you incur anything. So I mean, it's always how he is. He's working as hard as he can to be ready to go, and he's sticking to his process. So it's I just enjoy seeing him around every day because he has just such an energy to him.
Pat's
Frank,
added some,
obviously go ahead.
Pat's added some new pieces in Milton Williams and Harold Landry II. I know it's only been one game, but just what did you see out of that one game that you guys will look to try to stop on Sunday?
Yeah, I saw. You can see the blueprints of what Mike's trying to get done up there. You can see guys that are very physical. They want to play an attacking brand of defense. Guys that are, working through the beginnings of their phase through their scheme. So it's going to be a formidable challenge to get good players, and they're going to be excited to come down here and play. So it's be a good challenge for us in the division game this Sunday.
The Tua to Tyreek combination is obviously a big part of the offense. We know they hadn't been together much since San Francisco last year because of Tyreek's offseason injury issues. Do you force that, or do you try to just kind of let it grow organically? Do you have the time to let it grow organically?
I don't know if it's necessarily as like, okay, it's going to be this or that. I think it's ultimately the work we get in together, the time we get in together. It's putting them in the right spot at the right time. I mean, it's a collection of us schematically of trying to get the attack and making sure that we allow for all that to happen. So I think it's like you go through the season and you have times where guys are in, guys are out, and it's part of the process of being a professional football player is when you come back is getting into the rhythm, and the rhythm is helped through us and schematically being able to put them in positions to be able to success and be able to connect early.
What did Jonah do?
Actually, there are some really good things that we saw in the run game, pass protection as well. I think when you're a rookie on the road, it's always the most challenging time. So there's a lot of things that we're seeing that I think carry over from in training camp, the physicality, him and Brew. You can see they're building that rapport. So I think this week will be good for us to really build, because now when you come at home, it's a different environment. It allows you to play without the stressor of the noise.
Right. When you go into a game, and you're looking at the run game, do you say you want to get the power game going with Ollie early, or do you say we just want to get the run game going early?
I think it's not necessarily. it's not like you're saying, okay, we got to establish this one area of the run game. Okay, it's the run game and the overall attack, all right, that you want to have for the day on the defense. So how do you want to lay it out? How do you want to build what you want to do? So I don't think you necessarily say, hey, we want to do this because we want to get it going. We want to do this because this is an area that we think is going to be a strength of ours, all right, for the attack, or it's setting up something else. So it's a balancing act of what you want to get done, and I think that's something each week it's a little different as far as is it more outside zone, inside zone, gap scheme? Okay, do we want to hit more play actions off of these things, keepers, whatever it is? I think that's the balancing act of like it's basically how does the overall run plan fit into the overall attack of the defense.
How do you build off of that one successful drive that you scored, and, have it carry on into Sunday?
That's a good question. I think it's ultimately when you have a tough day that you didn't really, you felt really encouraged by the practices. You felt very encouraged by the intent of everyone, and then you go out and you don't have necessarily the performance you're looking for, and everyone's aware of that. I think it's for us is basically you take the good that you did, you see and recognize what it was. You want to build on those areas, and then you also are very critical and honest of the other areas of where we didn't meet the standard of what we want to get done, and then okay, what do we need to do? Why was it off? And sometimes the margin of error for us, sometimes you could say that the result didn't look good, but you can say, hey, it was just this much off. So I think it's basically you have to establish relationships with your players, so that way they. When we're communicating what is necessary, that they're hearing what it is, and they're not like, there's not that disconnect of like this result, so therefore I get this coaching or this. It's all collective of our overall improvement to get better.
Is there
Follow up
anything
on
different about the defensive scheme compared to like last year or even the Belichick era, or is it like it's the Patriots defense, it's the same approach?
Well, I think you can see what Mike took philosophically from his time in New England, what he believes in as far as how he wants to play defense. And, you could see with Dean Pease kind of being there and all that, you can see the kind of collection of different parts of where they believe kind of how do they want to play defense. And so I wouldn't say it's just, hey, it's this or that. They have core beliefs that they believe in, and they're doing in Tennessee that you can see there's parallels, but yet they still have their stuff they did in New England. So I think it's kind of a blend, but ultimately it makes sense because of Mike's time that he was there.